Ethiopian election board urges activists YouTubers to refrain from making unofficial announcements. Political science professor dubs Ethiopia's election somewhat exemplary. Hello and welcome to Addis News Hour. I'm Daniel Kasahun with the news. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed congratulated all Ethiopians over the peaceful conduct of the 6th general election held in Ethiopia on Monday. In his message, the Prime Minister stated that Ethiopians have demonstrated to the whole world that democracy for Ethiopians is not only a wish but also part and parcel of their history. Prime Minister Abiy has also extended his appreciation to the Electoral Board of Ethiopia, political parties, the media, journalists, observers, civic society organizations, security forces, and other pertinent actors for their contribution to the successful accomplishment of the election. The National Election Board of Ethiopia says the country has been undertaking effective general election across the country. Communication advisor of NEB, Soliana Shmallis, has briefed journalists on new developments regarding the 6th general election. The board has called upon all activists and YouTubers to refrain from announcing electoral results before an official announcement by the board. Haptam Mashagre reports.
So this is on the peace side. Regarding the logistics, I think the challenge we had, as we mentioned earlier, was that
the National Election Board of Ethiopia said Ethiopia is undertaking effective general election across the country. Briefing journalists, communication advisor to NEB, Soliana Shmallis, said NEB is taking proper measures to make the general election effective.
We have done with the election date yesterday, and which was largely peaceful, except for 2 polling stations where we had some incidents. So one is like in Oromia region, where our poll workers reported that they have been threatened, so they left polling station, I think on midday, and that was it. And the other incident was like in Amhara region, where individuals who were on the line were like fighting to each other, so polling was disrupted for some time. So except that, like, we had no major security issues or concerns on the polling day, and everything went well and peaceful.
According to Soliana, most polling stations are verifying temporary results after counting the votes cast based on electoral laws of the nation. According to the communication advisor, NEB is undertaking activities to verify election results after collecting results from electoral constituencies.
We're going to receive every constituency results, temporary results published with the forms and with all the legal details which they have, the minutes that was taken, the forms that was filled, and then the final result verification signed. Then after that, like at the headquarters level, we're going to verify results and announce regional and federal seats won by parties. So that means after 5 days to the latest, we're going to receive those, and it's going to depend on how many days it's going to take us to announce. But according to the law, the provisional will be within 10 days, and the maximum will be, in case of like different issues, will be 20 days or 20 plus.
Despite few minor complaints from contesting political parties, there is no complicated election complaint coming from opposition political parties. Regarding the unexpected death of John Marsh in Addis Ababa, Soliana said NEB has not registered John as election observer.
The individual, Mr. John, was not an international observer, and the Carter Center was not, didn't have any mission to Ethiopia, and they're not accredited observers at all. But like as a partner who has been working on Ethiopia, he came here, and like he has got a special badge guest, which means like which is given for partners who want to go around and see polling stations, and he was one of them. So we have also heard from security people that yesterday there was a report from the hotel that he was found in his room, and like that was reported for police, and then police was handling the issue, so it has nothing to do with elections.
Nebe calls upon all activists and YouTubers to refrain from announcing electoral results before unofficial verification electoral results from Nebe.
The Ethiopian Media Authority commended media institutions, journalists and other media professionals for the courageous and ethical reporting of the 6th general election. Authorities Director General Mohammed Idris told the Ethiopian News Agency on Monday evening that the media outlets have given transparent, fair and professional coverage for the election. He appreciated journalists who have been assigned in very remote places of the country to provide a balanced and fair coverage of the event. Foreign media outlets that covered the election have so far provided information to the whole world about the democratic process and the validity of the election. The East African Standby Force says voting in Ethiopia's general election was conducted in a peaceful manner and a high voter turnout recorded. The East African Standby Force Election Observer Mission also concluded that the 6th general election of Ethiopia held on 21st June 2021 was conducted in a calm and a peaceful manner. Kasamjani reports.
Eastern Africa Standby Force said it has deployed 12 teams of observers in 5 regions based on the information collected from the teams on the ground, stating the voting was conducted in a peaceful manner and a high voter turnout recorded.
Ballot boxes were observed to be generally well sealed, and in all polling stations visited, the polling booths were guaranteed the secrecy of ballot. The ESF mission observed that the election turnout was generally high in most polling stations visited, with very few turn-away voters.
Based on the information collected, Eastern Africa Standby Force Election Observer Mission concludes that the 6th general election held on 21st June 2021 in Ethiopia was conducted in calm and peaceful manner.
The ESF mission observed that voting was generally conducted in a calm and a peaceful atmosphere in most parts of the country. In most of the polling stations observed, priority was given to people with disability, the elderly, and the security officers. The ESF mission noticed that assistance was given to people unable to vote. The ESF mission notes with satisfaction the on-seat voting brief given to voters by the polling officers.
However, the observation team stated that out of the 96 polling stations visited by the observers, nearly 40% opened late. At the time of opening, voters were already stand in line. According to Eastern Africa Standby Force, the election observer team's high presence of law enforcement agencies has been observed in mass areas of deployment. The observers have also recorded high participation of women and youth in mass polling stations visited. Priority was also given to the elderly and physically challenged.
Gender participation. The ESF mission observed a satisfactory gender presence and a high turnout of women voters in most of polling stations visited. The ESF mission noted 34% of women as electoral personnel and 82% as domestic observers at the polling stations visited.
The Eastern Africa Standby Force Observers team is calling on all voters to maintain a calm and peaceful environment throughout the voting day and after the announcement of results. They also urged the law enforcement agencies to be vigilant and maintain a high level of professionalism when discharging their duties. The Eastern Africa Standby Force Observer teams will remain at various zones of deployment till the counting process is completed, maintaining the same station used as the opening station. It was President Boz local and international media houses that have been actively engaged in covering this election from the pre-voting phase.
Independent candidates also appreciated the sixth general election of Ethiopia. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian English over the phone, Dimanago said Ethiopian election practice has dramatically improved.
It's unfortunate that the elections could not be held all over the country at once due to the security situation in certain regions. But in the majority of the constituencies, the sixth election, I think, was a much improvement. It was organized better by the election board, and people were really able to cast their ballots and choose the candidates they wanted to represent them. So this is a marked departure from all the previous elections. I haven't participated in the previous 5 elections. I could only read from observer reports and other from various information I could get. The previous elections were just a one-party show. I mean, most of them, except for the 2005 election, it was a show for one party just to satisfy itself that it has been elected. And this can be seen from the last election, especially the 5th one, in which the ruling party claimed to have won 100% of all seats in the federal and state legislatures.
He has also suggested focal areas in the future as part of the efforts to improve election in Ethiopia, thereby building strong democratic institutions.
The current election and the 6th one is, as I said, an improvement. I think it is a good beginning for building a truly democratic polity in the future. We can build on this and even improve it better. But of course, we have to build institutions that can sustain a democratic society on the one hand, and we also lack proper, strong, mass-based political parties, and the next 5 years would give us the opportunity, I think, to build these institutions for a vibrant democratic society. Moreover, I think one element that is lacking from what I see, from what I could observe, is this is a country where we have a significant number of illiterate people. Therefore, I think civic societies should engage in voter education throughout, in the run-up to the elections in particular.
The 6th general election was historic, and this could be a good example to other African countries in many reasons. The remarks came from Brook Hailu, Professor of Political Science and International Relations. Professor Brook also calls on the international community to respect Ethiopia's decision in relation to the election. Yerushalayim B'Tzaha presents the story as follows.
Monday, June 21, the 6th Ethiopian general election kicked off early in the morning at 6 a.m. local time across many parts of the country. Over 38 million Ethiopians have casted their vote at their respective polling stations since 9 p.m. with patience. A political science and international relations scholar, Professor Baruch Hailu, stated that the 6th general election was a historic moment in Ethiopia for many reasons.
When you compare the 6th one with all 5 preceding elections, this one is much freer. The variety of parties, 17 parties, federal level parties, and 29, as far as the record shows, of regional parties. The menu for the Ethiopian citizens was not limited. It is very broad. People can choose from a variety of ethnic-based, ideology-based, region-based parties. The livelihood of the election, it was very lively. It was very vibrant. A number of debates were undertaken by the different political parties in private and public medias. All this is very new, and the engagement of the people, the excitement of the people. So for that reason, really, this was really very historical.
Africans should learn from Ethiopia's 6th general election in the whole process of the election and in ensuring peace and security in particular, Professor Brooks said.
It was peaceful. It was predicted like a dark scenario that's going to be violent and this and that, but really it showed the civility. It showed the culture, the maturity of the Ethiopian people, waiting in lines for hours, mind you, waiting in line for hours to cast their vote, one man, one vote. So it is really a historical day in Ethiopia. That's how I see it. As to its significance for African countries, well, Ethiopia is a developing African nation, a proud nation. We also wish for other African nations to have a really peaceful, civil, periodic elections where really the political sovereign, the legal and sovereign, the people would elect in a very legitimate way their own representatives at the federal, regional, local, city, and local levels. That should be really a good example for other African countries.
He reiterates that this election could bring a legitimate government and unity within the people of Ethiopia through considering his or her vote counts on the destiny of their country, Ethiopia.
In any society, there should be a free, just, and balanced election to have a legitimate government, a government that will take over power and do the daily task of running the affairs of the state from federal, state, and local level. In that sense, it is a success. And also, the freedom to choose is another aspect. Freedom to choose without pressure. Now, how would it bring unity within the people? In that respect, definitely. Now people will see that my vote counts. Our vote counts. We are the masters of our destiny. We can elect and select our government. We can make responsible and accountable the governments that we elect. That itself is a big, big stride forward for Ethiopia. And the people would definitely develop their culture of, based on civility, the culture of participation, politically participate in the democratic system.
According to the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia, the certified result will be announced within 10 days at the national level. Therefore, Brooks said there is no need of any interference from international communities on Ethiopia's affairs.
Ethiopians know what's best for them first. Ethiopians very well know what's good for Ethiopia. Ethiopians, they themselves know better what's good for their country, whether it's the government or the people at large. So I think at a minimum, what Ethiopians expect is respect by all countries of the world when it comes to our decision. What we elect is, what Ethiopians elect is Ethiopia's business. And all countries, they have to live with that and not be critical of this, critical of that, because that will be by itself, there are, of course, friendly advice and criticism, Just like we criticize the American government, Ethiopians criticize that, we know that. But there is a principle of reciprocity and respect among sovereign countries. The verdict, the people who are the verdict, their decisions will be respected, whether it's the UN, whether it's the European Union, whether it's the USA, whether it is any other European country. They should respect the results, just like Ethiopians do.
Local and international observers and media were present in different polling stations across the country as Ethiopia held its 6th general elections.
That story was interviewed by Gizacho Darub, and Jerusalem Bezaha has produced it. The Addis Ababa City Deputy Mayor Adanich Abebe called for cooperative efforts for the realization of Green Legacy initiative in the city. This remark came when the Deputy Mayor officially launched the tree planting campaign in Gulali Botanic Garden on Tuesday. Aula Teklemari has more.
Documents indicate that Addis Ababa has planted over 14 million trees over the last 2 years only, as the country strives for greening its terrestrial system. This is part of the National Green Legacy Initiative, where billions of trees have been planted. It further needs cooperative effort at all levels to maximize the planting, said Adanich Abebe, Deputy Mayor of the Addis Ababa city.
ከተማችን አረንጓዴ መልበስ አለባት አረንጓዴ በምትለብስበት ጊዜ
Addis deserves to be green, and when we plant trees in our housing compounds, it's good to prioritize edible fruits, so that we can easily manage the soaring living cost in the city.
Participants of the tree planting campaign also pledged to cultivating and watering the trees, citing the need to protect them.
What matters is not just planting and leaves those seedlings behind. It rather requires further protections. We need to make such follow-ups whether they are growing well or not.
Different political parties have also joined hands in the Green Legacy Initiative.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Demeke Mekonnen has paid a visit to the United Arab Emirates, UAE. During his two-day visit, Demeke discussed various issues with senior government officials of the UAE. The Deputy Prime Minister has also exchanged views with government officials on ways to further strengthen bilateral relations and further enhance cooperation between the two countries in various fields. Demeke has left for Russia after completing his mission in the United Arab Emirates. During his working visit to Russia, Demeke is expected to hold talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. This is according to Office of the Deputy Prime Minister.
greatest journeys, the greatest sights, the greatest adventures. We're your passport to the wonders of Africa.
To bring you stories of struggle, survival and hope.
So let's explore.
The World Health Organization is in talks to create the first ever technology